Hey everyone, it's George from One Jiu-Jitsu. So today I'm joined by Steve Austin, who's a head instructor at Sion BJJ in Pennsylvania. Third degree black belt, been training for 20 years. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to speak to me.
Much appreciated, George. Thank you for inviting me on.
Awesome. Well, yeah, before we kind of do a little tour and have a look at your gym, it'd be cool to just hear a bit about like how you got into BJJ in the first place, and then how that kind of led to you getting your black belt and becoming an instructor.
Yeah, sounds good. So like I said, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for over 20 years. I originally got started with Taekwondo and more traditional Eastern martial arts like Kempo and that kind of stuff, mainly for self-defense. I was born with a bunch of hip disorders and a bunch of medical issues, and that led me into getting bullied as a kid and having to learn how to defend myself pretty early on. Being naturally scrappy was nice, but I had a lot of issues that I couldn't afford, being in situations like that. So martial arts for me was kind of like a form of therapy as well as self-defense. And I got introduced to, the traditional stuff like karate, Kempo, Taekwondo, and it was a lot of fun and it taught me a lot. But as I got more into actual like altercations, it started becoming like unrealistic movements and techniques, and I got introduced to jiu-jitsu and it kind of just consumed me. Whereas like a self-defense one-on-one, I have the ability to handle myself. I have the peace of mind to know that I can walk away from a fight as well. But it was just it was a nice segue into, finding something that I can dedicate my time, my energy, and, it kept me out of trouble for the most part. And I like to say jiu-jitsu kind of like saved my life in that aspect, where I know it has for a lot of people. It's a very similar story to a lot of martial artists, especially gym owners.
Yeah.
We went through this traumatic experience, found jiu-jitsu, found all the positive things it brings us, and then we dedicate ourselves to sharing it with others and hoping that it has the same kind of benefits.
Yeah. No, I've actually only done, I think, maybe 5 of these so far. And
Okay.
I think so far, I think you're the third instructor who's kind of mentioned having some experience with bullying kind of early on in their life.
Yeah.
And really, sometimes that's what can be a catalyst for you really kind of taking this on and really, dedicating your life to it.
Yeah. And like I said, I know it's a common thing, and it's one of us,
Yeah.
when we were having conversations with other instructors, it's always nice to see like, hey, we have that similar story. What was it exactly that you were getting bullied for? And that's usually kind of like the difference. For me, it was I was an easy target. I was disabled as a kid, so I had a lot going on. I was in braces, so I was an easy target for that kind of stuff. And some I see it with other kids where it's just they're socially awkward, or they're super tall and they're lanky. There's something odd is often kids can be real mean, and it can be real devastating.
Yeah. And have you found, with the people who come to train with you, have you found any other motivations for why people want to train jiu-jitsu? Beyond just the self-defense? Yeah.
I see a ton of different things, and I like to ask people that when they first come in, like, what brought you to this? What was it that kind of piqued your interest? What's starting you on this journey? And especially depending on what age bracket they're in. Like if they're 19, they just want to be involved in something. Maybe they want to make a career out of it. Maybe one of their friends do it. But when you get a guy who's in their 40s that's deciding to take this journey later in life, besides like a midlife crisis kind of move, you're like, what's your motivation? Like I was just having this conversation with one of my students this morning, like, what took you so long to do? And he's like, well, it's something that I've been saying I want to do for a long time. And, you just put it off for so many different life reasons. And then now it's like, I got the time, I have the energy, I have the finances. Why not do it?
Yeah.
But I see it for all kinds of reasons. And it's always nice to see what people's motivations are. Sometimes it's simply as like, I heard a podcast that mentioned jiu-jitsu. Like I got a few students because of the Joe Rogan podcast. They're just like, I listen to it. I hear him speak so highly of it, and I want to see what it's about. Others are, maybe they were in an altercation where they realize they don't have any self-defense knowledge. Somebody maybe wants to become the next Gordon Ryan, biggest competitor out there. I see it all, and it's nice to see the spectrum of it.
Yeah. And what would you say for like, so parents putting their kids in, like, what would you say are kind of, are there any differences with like the children's classes? Why people do it?
So children's classes, I had a big children's program pre-COVID, and after
Mhm.
COVID, I kind of restructured the gym and what we're doing. And I personally don't work with any kids under 16.
Okay.
I do agree that martial arts is great for kids. I don't want to say I don't have the patience for it anymore, but my attention's more toward like law enforcement, the adults, the
Mhm.
competitors, more serious with it.
Yeah.
With the kids program, I see it like half and half. You got some kids who like they want to be there, other kids are being forced to be there.
Mm.
It's difficult to like try to show a kid who's being forced to be in jujitsu. Like I had a lot of them after COVID where their parents were like, "Hey, they need something to do," and they're kind of like looking for a babysitter. The child
Yeah.
doesn't really want to be there, and you're trying to show them the benefits of it, and they just don't
Mm.
understand that yet. So it's kind of
Yeah.
difficult. Whereas then you get the kids who they love it, they like the social aspect of it, they're gaining
Mm.
that confidence. I will do like private lessons with a parent and their child if there's issues where they say bullying situation where we
Mm.
can kind of help develop their self-esteem and their self-confidence. But I rather work with kids who are 16 and above, if that's the case. As a teenager, I think this is a great atmosphere for them. You're getting a chance
Mm.
to work with adults. You're getting this chance to see how the real world works.
Mm.
You're in that gap where it's like, hey, yeah, you're still a young adult, but you're getting out of that being a kid stage.
Mm.
And it's like I think it's also important for them. It's a nice segue into a positive lifestyle. Whatever
Yeah.
you choose to do, I believe jujitsu brings a positivity to your life that you want to better yourself, those around you. So
For
that
sure.
networking is so important.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, that's a big thing I've got from jiu-jitsu. Like, I feel it just ticks so many boxes because it's like you've got the fitness, the self-defense, and
Mhm.
then just the social aspect of just being part of a community, showing up there and
Yeah.
just, knowing people have got your back. It's, even if someone needs like I don't know, at least in our group chat, sometimes there's someone needs a plumber or someone needs something, and you've
100%.
got this, you're plugged into this community of people who you just really trust,
Yeah.
which is something that I think often people don't talk about or don't realize when they're first starting. But that's, for me in my daily life, that's so nice to have that group of people from so many different areas of life,
Yeah.
who you trust.
And that's what it is we're building like a huge trust bond with each other,
Mm.
and trauma bond too. It's like we're
Yeah.
bonding through this journey because we have to trust each other that when we're rolling, we are simulating warfare. It's like a simulated murder, and I have to trust that when I tap, you're going to let go, or that when you tap, I'm going to let go. That yes, I do want to
Mm.
try to gain a position and control it and work for a submission, but I also have to be concerned about your safety.
Mm.
And there is this nice trust that gets formed with you, and then again it just becomes of how can I help you outside of the gym as well. Like if we have
Mm.
a student who needs to move, there's usually a group of guys that are like, hey, I'm available, I'll help. And like you said,
Yeah.
it's like it's nice to have that group chat where you have this networking of people that you can bring together. And jiu-jitsu brings everybody from all different walks of life, all different
Yeah.
professions, all different like areas. And it's nice because now you get a chance to interact with each other where you probably normally wouldn't meet this person.
Mm. Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
people
For
get
sure.
new jobs because of it. They end up going working for somebody else because they train together. It's kind of neat to
Yeah.
see the relationships blossom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Actually, my little brother's first job was with a tree surgeon who works at ours, and he was wanting a job, and I was like, I'll just ask in the chat, and then he was like, oh yeah, I could do just help him with just moving branches and stuff like
Yeah,
that, and it's like I know that I trust that person completely rather than going off with a random tradesperson or do you know what I mean, someone that I don't really know. So I'm like,
yeah.
I know he's going to be looked after, someone I trust. Um, so yeah, no, that's great.
No, it definitely is. And it's one of the things like, I know I fell in love with jiu-jitsu for a handful of reasons, and I see the same thing happen with different students. Like one of the guys we were just talking today, I asked him, I said, he's got like 8 months training. I said, what's been your favorite thing? And he's like, honestly, just the escape. Like when you're on the mats, like nothing outside matters. So whatever's going on in the world outside of there no longer exists. You're so focused on the moment, being there, learning the lesson, trial and error, trying to get better through progress, and everything else just kind of escapes. And when you have to leave and go deal with that world again, you're in such a different state of mind, a different mood, different personality, that it kind of helps you deal with the outside world a little easier. And I tell everybody, I said, really what we're doing here is like a form of combative therapy. So, you know, sorry about that. I was getting a call.
No, all good.
Yeah. You know, but it's nice to be able to fall in love with that stuff.
For sure, yeah. It'd be good to know, like, to get an idea of the process. Say someone first gets in contact with you through your website, say, how does that process go from their kind of first contact through to them showing up for their first class?
So usually if somebody goes through our website, we have a lead generator on that. So I'll get a text message like immediately, like, hey, so-and-so, George is interested in jiu-jitsu. So I'll reach out to you. Usually I text everybody first. Hey, thank you for reaching out. How can I help you? Just to kind of see what they're looking for. And then we'll set up a consultation call. I'll get a feel for them, you know, what they're looking for jiu-jitsu, what their goals are, whether it's weight loss, community, whatever it is. And then we try to also see, okay, where are you at? Are you a brand new beginner? Are you somebody who's got a little bit of experience? Are you another black belt looking for a new gym? So I kind of like to kind of get that conversation to go, like just to get an initial feel for the person. If it's somebody brand new, we're going to bring them in on one of the fundamental classes. We try to funnel all our brand new people into those classes. So this way you're getting a basic warm-ups, learning the basic movements, the terminology, the physical language, the emotional language, and the verbal language. We try to condense it so that it's pretty simple. Hey, here's a new position. Here's your objectives. Here's something that you're going to look for in the basics. If somebody's got a little bit more experience, then we'll bring them into one of the all levels classes where we'll go through the material a little bit faster and kind of get into, hey, I do A, they respond with B, I respond with C. So we can kind of go more down the rabbit hole of, okay, here's the next sequence of things. And then we have our intermediate and advanced classes for people with other levels, other black belts coming in to train, whether they're looking for a new gym or just cross training to get a new feel for things. It's nice to kind of be able to bring them in and have that. And then, you know, and then we'll see where they're at after the trial class on what they want to do. We have a handful of options with memberships. We do monthly memberships for one program, 2 programs. We have our 6-month packages and our year packages. So kind of like depending on what somebody's looking for, we do like a nice starter package for somebody. So say if you came in and I've never done this before, I have no gear. We have a nice starter package where we hook you up with some of the gear in the first like month and a half of training. And then we kind of segue you into one of the other programs as you continue to train with us. I don't like contracts. Somebody wants to train with us, they want to train with us. If something happens and you have to freeze your account, usually we tell everybody just, hey, just give me 30 days notice. That way I can kind of, you know, make the arrangements for payments. If somebody does one of our memberships, say you do a 6-month package and you're paying that up front and then you got to take a month off. Just communicate with me. Let me know. I post date everything. I try to keep it real simple, real easy. You know, we want to make sure that everybody in here is getting the training and the money is worth it. You know, we try to keep up with them. If somebody has questions, we try to have one of the coaches keeping up with them, especially the new guys, because there's always a ton of questions. Hey, what about this for training? What about that? So we want to make sure that there's one of our coaches that kind of are able to be on call for them. We have a group chat on Facebook for our team. So it's nice that they can kind of go in there, talk to one another, share videos. I encourage the students to like, you know, videotape classes when they can and, you know, be able to upload it to the page for other people. As one of the instructors, you know, we'll have one of them, you know, videotape as well. So this way we can post the lesson. You know, we try to stay up to date with that.
Nice. Oh, that's a cool feature. And could you show us a little bit around the gym? Like if someone, when someone shows up? Yeah.
Sure. So where
Right,
I'm
yeah.
sitting now is kind of like our front lobby and our front desk. So I'll kind of like walk over to like our door. So you got, our front door where everybody's going to walk in, and kind of what you're going to see behind me is our like waiting area over here. We just got like a basic couch, nothing too crazy. Behind me is the front desk right over there. We got a private training mat over here where some of the instructors during another class will do private lessons over here. So this way, we're outside of where the actual class is going to be taking place. Over
Mhm.
here, we got like a little weight area, just minor stuff that guys will come in here and do that want the extra training. If you can't find something to do in here, it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. Like, it's not like a huge gym with weights, but you're a basic workout that you're going to need for training. When we step out here, we
Mhm.
got our main training area. We got our mats over here where most of all the jiu-jitsu classes are going to take place, of course. We got a small little
Mhm.
bag rack area for the Muay Thai program. We do both jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. We're primarily a jiu-jitsu program, but our Muay Thai program's picking up, and we got a nice little fight team that likes to do that. A couple amateur guys that are trying to get in there. Like I said, a main mat area out here. It's about I would say like 2,000 square feet of mats ish. The whole building itself is about 4,500 square feet. So we got a nice like kind of break up between the two mat areas and that. Over here we
Mhm.
got like, just a basic shower for any of the guys who want to train. We get a lot of people who come in from other gyms. If they're traveling, they want to, shower before and after, they can kind of do that. I got
Mhm.
two bathrooms over here, and basic simple bathrooms, nothing special, just individual stalls. And then when we walk back out, we got two locker rooms over to where the other side of the gym was. And that's
Mhm.
pretty much the layout of it. It's pretty kind of cut and dry. You
Nice.
come in, you change. If you want to do a little warm-up workout prior, you're welcome to. We try to tell everybody if they're going to, work out, do it before a class, so you're not trying to be here after the very last one. We have a
Mhm.
morning schedule. We're in here every morning, 10:30 till about 1 o'clock training. We break for lunch, come back around like 4 o'clock, and then run our evening classes. And then you didn't get a chance to see them, but they're both my little guy here. He's always in the gym with
Nice.
us, hanging out. Our little guy. He's one of the shop dogs. One of four of my little Australian shepherds. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
like pretty much like the basic layout of the place. I've been in this building for almost 5 years now. Um, Pros and cons to it. I eventually want to, switch things around, kind of upgrade some things. But for now, it's been home. It's been nice.
Mm. Awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say is like when someone's been training you with you, say, well, after the first class, what are
Yeah.
kind of the changes you notice after, and kind of also just down the line, months and years with the people you've trained with?
So it kind of depends on the individual too, because you got people from different calibers, whether they're naturally athletic, did they have a background in other martial arts or sports? Have they never done any sports and completely still kind of uncoordinated? So you kind of see all the different ranges, but like when I get somebody who has never done any sports, they're in their late 20s, early 30s, and you're teaching them these basic movements and helping them build their structure, their frame. You see their body mechanics picking up. You see their learning ability. They're able to kind of start piggybacking it. It's always nice to
Mm.
see somebody come from like, I don't want to use the term a weak person, but they haven't realized how much potential and how strong they can really be, both on the inside and
Mm.
outside. So when you see that kind of start developing over time, it takes a couple months before you start seeing
Yeah.
them, pick it up. And then usually after about a year, you see them really starting to put the pieces together.
Yeah.
For me, it takes on average, about a year to a year and a half, almost 2 years for people to get blue belt under me. I really want them to be comfortable in understanding the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu. And you really start to see that, like, after they get blue belt, you're kind of like, oh man, now you really can start learning jiu-jitsu. You've
Mm.
acquired the basic information that you now can start piecing it together. And that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things. And I tell everybody
Mm.
up in the beginning, as soon as they walk in the door, hey, jiu-jitsu is really hard, man. I believe it's for everyone. Not everyone's for jiu-jitsu. it's one of those things that it's going to test you. It's going to be grimy. It's going to hurt sometimes. It's going to be tough mentally and physically when you're trying to figure it out and it doesn't make sense in the beginning. After you get over that hurdle, though, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's this sense of confidence, a sense of peace, a sense of just understanding of how things work that kind of comes with you after that. But I tell everybody, hey, that first 6 months to a year, it's a mess. It's tough. And if you have a little bit of natural athleticism, a little bit of previous sports, that plays a role, because you won't have to learn the basic movements as like, ground level. Like if you have somebody who's got 2 years of wrestling, it's going to be really easy to teach them jiu-jitsu because they already know the basic form of grappling. It's really teaching them the submissions, the do's and don'ts. Whereas somebody who's never grappled before, I got to teach you grip fighting, break falls, takedowns, basic positions, basic objectives, offense and defense. It's a lot that has to go into them. So I tell them, like, hey, your first year, just keep showing up, keep trying to like pick away at the puzzle piece by piece, and eventually it does start to make sense for them. And it's nice when you see those like light bulb moments go off for them, because you see, you're like, you're getting it, aren't you? And I see guys like they train for a month or two or like 6 months, and they kind of like, they don't take it too serious. They're kind of halving it. Like they're in it. Oh, this is neat. It's cool. My friend's doing it. But then something happens like after they get like that third stripe on their white belt and they realize like, hey, I really like this and I want to get good at it. And then there's this like fire under them to get better. And it's nice to see that, because you're just like, I knew there was the potential in them.
Yeah, that's one thing that I love about jiu-jitsu is like you get these, little epiphanies along the whole way, from those first classes, first years of the epiphanies. But like, it's something that for me anyway, it's like I've enjoyed it the whole way. Like there's been challenges, but definitely it's like got more, I don't know, I had recently, even this year, I kind of got even more into it, and like I enjoy jiu-jitsu even more now than I used to, and I've enjoyed it the whole time. It's so
and that's
nice.
it. It's like
different periods.
Now, how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu?
I think just over 7 years now, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And be honest, man, it doesn't stop. I'm going on, like I said, 20 years, and it's just like you start seeing things on different levels, and it just, you never really stop having those epiphanies, and it's just it's neat. And I enjoy each one, because where you're at now in your journey, you're never going to be there again. Same thing with like when you first start, and like when you have these white belts that are just like everything's like a magic trick to them. Like, how did you do that? How did you do that? Like there's all this excitement. Like it's not that we don't have that same excitement now doing it. It's just we get excited by different things. And it's nice to still be excited by jiu-jitsu, but I'm not going to be as excited as the brand new guy is with that topic, So I enjoy where I'm at each step of the way.
For sure. Yeah. And what would you say if someone's kind of just say they've watched through this video and they're still a little bit on the fence, they're not sure, maybe they're not confident, or they're just not sure whether they should give it a try? What would you say to them?
Stop being scared. Stop being scared. Go try it. Try a couple gyms. Not every gym has the same vibe. Some gyms are a little, more hardcore. Some gyms are too laid back for people. I think it's really going out, trying it, and just testing yourself. Don't be afraid to do it. Go in there, be honest with people. Hey, this is my first time, and try to look for recommendations of good gyms that deal with people brand new. That's one of the reasons why we have a fundamental program. We funnel everybody into that. If somebody has never done jiu-jitsu, I don't want you coming to one of the other classes. You won't understand it. You won't get it. The feeling that you're going to have walking out there is not going to be good. It's going to be like a way above your pay grade. And that's why I would say, try a fundamental class, break it down a little bit easier. But just test yourself, don't, if you constantly live in fear, you're never going to do anything.
And was there anything that you think I've missed that we haven't kind of gone over? Anything you want to mention?
I mean, dude, we could probably sit and talk for hours about jiu-jitsu itself and
Yeah,
all kinds
yeah,
of different things. Like, well, for example, I don't really know you too much, but what was it about
yeah.
jiu-jitsu that you fell in love with?
I think I don't know. I think because I did actually kind of do a lot of play fighting and stuff with my brothers when I was younger, and
Okay.
I really enjoyed that. And I think there's kind of that's something about that kind of physical play, because it is really like it's a game, it's
Yeah.
a sport, and it's kind of a physical challenge, and you're trying to solve things, and that's what really really excited me about it. Was just it just feels good to do. Like I
Yeah.
go to a session, I feel, after those first times sparring, you get unbelievably tired because you're like, every muscle in your body is tense. And
Yeah.
as you kind of train more, you learn to be more efficient with your movements, and you kind of get out of that fight or flight mode. But yeah, always just after the classes, I felt great, no matter how hard they were, and was like, right, I want to go back. I want to learn more. Why did I get tapped there? Why did that not work? Why do I keep getting swept? Like
Yeah.
trying to kind of solve these problems. And yeah, like I said, again, the community is awesome around it. Yeah,
It's kind of
that's
like
the main
problem
thing.
solving at its finest, and
Yeah.
you almost get like obsessed with it. Like,
Mm.
I had one of the guys ask me the other day. They're just like, thinking about like what went wrong hours later, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind
Mm.
of the process. Like,
Yeah.
you'd be thinking like, oh man, why didn't this technique work? And you're like, hours later in the shower, like, oh, I never grabbed the hand and pulled it
Yeah.
or whatever the step was, and then it's like,
Yeah.
I tell them that like that time gap gets a little bit smaller, where it's like, all right, it's now when you first get home. Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot to grab the
Yeah.
hand. And then it's
Yeah.
like on the way home in the car, like, oh, I forgot to grab the
Yeah.
hand. And then
Yeah.
it's like right after the match, having the conversation, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't grab the hand. And then for me, like, I still have those moments where I'm trying something and I'll be like, maybe I'm trying this sweep and it goes wrong. And I'll immediately in the roll, like, what happened? Like, as we're still
Mm.
rolling, and try to, calculate and figure it out where I didn't carry the one in my math, why I didn't get
Mm.
the number I wanted. So then I'll go back and try to hit it again in the same roll. So I tell everybody, like, you go from like these hours of
Mm.
like thinking about the problem to like trying to figure out on the fly right afterwards. So it's
Yeah.
like it's just ultimate problem solving, which to me it's
Mm.
really cool video game kind of atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome,
Awesome.
man.
Well, yeah.
No, I
No,
like your answer.
thanks for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Anything else that you want to talk about?
No, that's great. Yeah.
All right,
Thanks a
good
lot.
deal.